Some of humanity's greatest medical mysteries are hidden inside structures far too small for the human eye to see. Inside every cell, an invisible world is constantly moving, reacting, folding, breaking apart, and rebuilding itself. Every second, billions of molecular events take place inside the human body. Proteins change shape. Molecules collide. Chemical reactions begin and stop. And tiny changes can sometimes determine whether a cell remains healthy or becomes diseased. The problem is that this microscopic world is extraordinarily complicated. Even the most powerful classical computers struggle to accurately model many of the interactions happening inside living systems. One of the most famous examples is protein folding. Proteins begin as long chains of amino acids, but those chains must fold into incredibly precise three-dimensional structures before they can perform their biological functions. A tiny difference in shape can completely change what a protein does. Now imagine trying to calculate every possible way that molecule could move, fold, and interact with its surroundings. The number of possibilities can become enormous. Researchers have already made remarkable progress using classical computing, artificial intelligence, laboratory experiments, and powerful simulations. But many molecular problems remain computationally expensive, forcing scientists to make approximations or test possibilities experimentally. This is where quantum computing could eventually change the equation. Quantum computers use qubits instead of ordinary classical bits. And qubits follow the strange rules of quantum mechanics, the same fundamental physics that governs atoms, electrons, and molecules themselves. That connection is important. Because molecules are quantum systems, accurately describing their behavior can become extremely difficult for conventional computers as the complexity increases. A sufficiently powerful quantum computer could eventually help researchers simulate certain chemical systems in ways that are extremely challenging for classical machines. Imagine a drug molecule approaching a protein associated with a disease. Scientists want to know exactly what happens when those molecules interact. Where does the drug attach? How strong is the interaction? Which molecular arrangement is most stable? Could a tiny structural change make the treatment more effective? Today, answering questions like these often requires a combination of computational prediction, laboratory experiments, and eventually clinical testing. Quantum computing could help improve the computational part of that process. Instead of exploring molecular behavior only through approximate models, future quantum algorithms may allow researchers to calculate certain chemical properties with much greater accuracy. That could have enormous consequences for drug discovery. A pharmaceutical company might begin with thousands or millions of possible compounds. Advanced computational systems could help identify the candidates most worth investigating before researchers spend years testing them in laboratories. And this is where the real promise appears. Quantum computing would not magically discover a cure with one calculation. Instead, it could become a powerful scientific filter, helping researchers understand which molecular possibilities deserve deeper investigation. The implications could extend far beyond pharmaceutical development. Consider cancer. Cancer is not simply one disease caused by one problem. It involves complicated networks of genes, proteins, signaling pathways, mutations, and interactions between cells. Understanding those networks at the molecular level is incredibly difficult. Quantum-enhanced simulations could potentially help scientists study some of these chemical interactions with greater precision, revealing patterns that are difficult to capture with traditional computational approaches. Neurological diseases present another challenge. Inside the brain, millions of neurons communicate through extraordinarily complex networks, while countless chemical reactions occur simultaneously at microscopic scales. Understanding the molecular mechanisms behind these disorders may require scientists to connect information across several levels of biology. And that leads toward one of medicine's greatest ambitions: personalized treatment. Imagine a future where doctors do not simply treat a disease based on its name. Instead, they analyze the molecular characteristics of a specific patient, their genetic variations, protein structures, biological pathways, and potentially their predicted response to different therapies. Two people may have the same diagnosis, yet their bodies can respond very differently to the same drug. More powerful molecular simulations could eventually help researchers understand why. They could